Hello and welcome back to the Curios cast. This is a weird news episode. This week we discuss a gnome and sex toy shortage, the burglar who's been caught after ejaculating onto a laptop, and the man who mailed himself from Australia to Wales in a box.
We got Ziggy back.
Hello, boys.
Hello.
Satnin.
Ziggy, it's been a while. 2, 3, 4. Who knows how many weeks it's been? Yeah.
I'm suddenly feeling a lot more comfortable and content about being on for the second time. So thank you so much for having me again.
Welcome back.
You were a fan favourite last time, I'm sure.
Did we get any update on the dick pics, I wonder?
Let me just have a look. Nothing yet, but I'll keep you up to date throughout the course of this recording.
That's an absolute shame. Anything on the any replants? Any replants? Any replants from FBI@gmail.com?
Let me check. No, nothing yet. No, weird.
Well, should we get on with it then?
Let's do it.
On to the guys.
And now let's go on to the guys.
On to the guys.
Who wants to go first? Tom, do you want to go first? Do you want to jump in? Or Zig, do you want to go in first again, since you're our special guest? Or do you want to go last? Do you want to volunteer someone?
You know what? I'm gonna go again, if that's all right.
Yeah.
He's going again. He's going in.
This is how it is. All right. I had to Google the pronunciation of this as well, which is quite embarrassing because it's been all over the news. This was April 19th, 2021, so potentially a couple of weeks ago now, depending how the clock swings. Suez.
How does your clock swing?
Well, I ain't telling you, mate. I ain't telling you. Suez Canal. Again, I'm still not convinced on the fact I'm saying that correctly.
I think that's right.
Yeah, Suez.
That's right, yeah.
Suez Canal blockage leaves Europe without garden gnomes and sex toys.
Oh, okay.
I just thought that was a great combo to start with. And then the subtitle was "Not a gnome or a dildo to be found. What a bleak, harsh reality we live in."
Could you imagine a world without gnomes?
You wait.
That's gnome sort of world to live in there.
No.
Brilliant. It's like, the Suez Canal getting blocked by a cargo ship has to be one of the biggest fuck-ups in recent memory. The whole fiasco brought a good portion of global trade to a screeching halt.
Is this on the BBC?
This is on Oddie.com. I should have shared it, shouldn't I, really? There's not really any photos or anything on here, so it's more of a reading job. My favourite kind of job. With the canal clogged, ships carrying goods and materials couldn't get to their destinations. As a result, people in countries around the world are now facing shortages with various things. But the UK might be having the worst time of all. The country is reportedly struggling with a lack of garden gnomes. This is a quote. "We haven't seen a gnome in 6 months now, unfortunately." Ian Byrne, assistant manager of Highfield Garden World store, told The Guardian. "There aren't any. There's definitely a shortage," he added. "Since gnomes aren't coming in from abroad, this seems like a good time for British gnome makers to step up production, right? No such luck.
Since gnomes aren't coming in from abroad.
Even the basic elements of making garden gnomes have run out. Raw materials are becoming a bit of an issue, and unfortunately gnomes are a victim of that shortage. Gnomes of any type, plastic, stone or concrete, are in short supply," Byrne said. "How can the country survive this disaster?" And there's a bit in here that's not as important, but I'll read it for continuity. But why are the British so enthusiastic about purchasing garden gnomes? What is it about the lawn ornaments that has driven this shortage? Well, the answer lies in the COVID-19 pandemic. The UK is still under partial lockdown, and at this point, people have been confined in their homes for nearly a year. With so much time on their hands, the British have turned to the only outlet available to them, their yards and gardens. It makes sense. Since you can't go anywhere, you might as well make your yard look nice and lush. I'm assuming this is an American publication. We're facing the perfect storm of lockdown, everyone being stuck at home, and one thing people can do is their gardening, said UK's Garden Centre Association Chief Executive Ian Wiley. That's a title, isn't it? The UK's National Office of Statistics agrees with Wiley's view. DIY stores reported 35% higher sales in 2020, while gardening retailers saw an 8.5% bump in sales. Byrne, from Highfield Garden World, gives us even bigger numbers. I looked at some figures based on March, which said gardening stores were 97% busier than they were in 2019. Whoa. Every day has been like a bank holiday. And the new subtitle here says "Gnome end to demand." Brilliant. Apparently, having a gnome on your lawn is a must for British gardeners, but with so many people, wanting a bearded fellow to brighten up their yards, the shelves are now empty. They've been very popular over the last couple of seasons. We've been a massive upswing in the sales of gnomes and definitely a different clientele wanting gnomes too, Byrne explained. Shopkeepers have tried to cope with the enormous demand by sourcing gnomes from abroad. But the Suez Canal blockage, many of the gnome shipments haven't arrived. It's definitely causing some issues because it's not just English garden centres that are booming, it's all across Europe, so it's causing issues with supply.
You know what? I'm happy because I think they look like shit. I'm sorry if either of you or anyone listening has got garden gnomes, but they look so tacky and awful. I hate them. Like, ruin your garden. They don't do anything. They don't mean anything. They don't even look good. They're just stupid.
But I'm putting it out there. I think I'm part of the problem.
Have you got garden gnomes?
I got fucking loads, mate.
Why? Well, why do you like them?
I'm gonna get some pictures up, hopefully on the screen now for the listeners and viewers. My daughter's obsessed with them, absolutely obsessed. Anyway,
did you get your first one after she became obsessed, or did you get one and then she's like, I fucking love this gnome, and then you got more?
Nah, I'm pretty sure we were walking in through Asda of all places, and she was like, "Oh my god, I really want that." It was like a gnome on a turtle.
Okay, that makes it a bit cooler.
But we've got this garden gnome. It's like a fucking.
I like turtles.
A fairy, which you can pop up now, which is like this big, it's absolutely massive. Anyway, okay. it continues.
All right.
Can't get no satisfaction. Speaking of the rest of Europe, it's not just garden gnomes that are in short supply. Some countries, like the Netherlands, faced a shortage of a fleshier variety. Namely, one of the ships stuck in the canal was carrying 20 containers filled with sex toys, from dildos to vibrators and male masturbation aids. George, how did you get on, mate?
Well, I did wonder where my shipment was. Yeah. I haven't been able to get hold of them for weeks.
The ship that says carnal, that's a typo. The ship's canal cargo had something to scratch.
Carnal. Is it Carnal?
Have I got that wrong?
I think carnal's like a.
It's followed by cargo.
To do with sex and stuff and stuff. Carnal.
Okay.
Carnal desire.
You learn something new every day on the Curios cast. The ship's carnal cargo had something to scratch every itch. Unfortunately, there was no way for these goods to reach lusty customers. EDC Retail, the largest sex toy retailer in Netherlands and Belgium, said it had nothing to offer its customers since most of its...
What was it called?
EDC Retail.
EDC Retail.
What do you reckon it stands for?
See if it's local to me.
Like everyday carry, in which case, if it is, like, that's a weird thing to knock about with you, innit?
Veendam. It's in Veendam, wherever that is.
Like you don't know.
Veendam. Northeast. Oh
nice. Yeah. Oh.
It's too far for a quick trip over there, boys.
It said it had nothing to offer its customers since most of its existing toy stock had been swept up earlier in the year during Valentine's Day. Due to the shipping blockage, the company predicts it lost millions of dollars, although ships can again slide in and out of the canal. Sex toy retailers are still left unsatisfied. It's annoying that such a hitch will continue for a long time before the rhythm in the transport chain is restored, lamented EDC's retail CEO Evertine Magerman. Why is it so hard to pronounce names that aren't English?
They're stupid, aren't they?
Just like with garden gnomes, the sex toy situation was further exacerbated by the pandemic. Some sex stores have seen sales triple during lockdown. Suppose gardening can't satisfy all needs. The end.
Wow.
I love it.
I saw that big ship blocking that canal, and you think it's funny, but it has real effects. There's people suffering.
Ramifications.
Yeah,
It's got definitely got some knock-on effects, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Knocking one out.
Oh yeah.
Wanking joke. I've just found the website for that EDC company.
Yeah, I'm on it.
It doesn't look like a sex toy company. It's a really weird website. Like, it looks like some sort of corporate.
Oh yeah, they've just got
like
they've got panning shots of like warehouses and
dildos.
and people just sitting at their desk and stuff like that. Oh yeah, and then this guy's just got a shelf full of dildos. Yeah, it looks like you've walked into. I was about to say Maplin, but that always looked like a bit of a shit off.
It does look like Maplin.
Like a well-kept Maplin. But
it's a weird website, isn't it?
Number one in sexual wellness.
There we go. Easy Toys.
Passion
Is it
and
easytoys.com?
action.
Easy Toys, better toys, greater joys. I'm sure that I've heard that phrase on Dutch TV. Better toys, greater joys. I'm sure that's on like just standard Dutch TV. One thing I've noticed in Holland is that swear words are just like allowed on the news at like 5 p.m.
Yeah,
They'd
that's
just
cool.
be talking and they'd just be like, Dutch, and the fucking Dutch. And it always catches me off guard.
Is that the one word you recognise? You
Yeah.
just pick it out.
Like, just as in, like, you're talking like a news anchor would literally just be like, yeah, and the EDC are really struggling to get hold of their dildos and it's fucking me off.
yeah, like there'll be.
Don't get me started on the gnomes.
An interview on the
Fucking
street.
gnomes.
And they'll just like drop the F-bomb, or they'll start. They'll say shit, or stuff that you wouldn't be able to do on the BBC in the UK.
Do you think
it always just surprises me on the radio as well? Like the adverts will just be like, it might be like an event called like "fucking fantastic," and it'll be like a jingle, "fucking fantastic," and it would just be on the radio at like 3 p.m.
Oh, that's great.
Brilliant.
I wonder if suddenly, 'cause I guess, it is a little bit comes down to just like social norms in different countries. Like if suddenly in our country that was allowed, would people accept that? Like if suddenly, there were rules that just said, oh yeah, you can swear as long as you're not being like crazy over the top, but you can use it in that kind of context as like an adjective. But like, but would we just go crazy with it? Would like as soon as it flicked over, you just turn on Antiques Roadshow and they're like, got this fucking set of plates here. He's like, oh mate, that's old as shit. I'd love
Just go
it.
completely the other way, be like satire at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, you go in the fucking like bargain hunt or something like that. It's like fucking garden gnomes.
Yeah.
Fucking gnomes.
Yeah.
2021.
Location, low fucking cation.
Do you reckon there's like rare garden gnomes? Like people collect Pokemon cards.
Oh, there
There's
must
like
be.
a sort of niche set of garden gnomes or antique garden gnomes.
I'm googling rarest garden gnome.
I feel like do you even call gnoming a hobby? Like is buying gnomes and placing gnomes a hobby? Because I feel like every kind of hobby or niche little thing you get into now, especially with the internet, there's just a unlimited like resource and other people, and everyone's trying to outdo each other, and everyone's getting inspired by someone else's gnome, so then they buy an even bigger, fancier gnome and more expensive gnomes, and then they realize theirs is part of a set of gnomes, and then they have to get all the gnomes, and it just goes off from there.
We should have spoke to on Reddit the headquarters for the Garden Gnome Liberation Front.
Oh yeah.
It's a place for all things gnome related. Maybe they can answer some of our questions.
Well, I found rare garden gnome is more than 100 years old. Imagine that. And imagine like this was the Dutch version, yeah. Because this geezer, Charles Hanson, his name is. Discovery was made by Charles Hanson, manager of Hanson's Auctioneers, who also appears on BBC One's Bargain Hunt. It's like the stars aligned. He said, it was fucking remarkable. I will occasionally assess items in the garden, such as stone urns, planters, and staddle stones. But this really was a case of hide and fucking seek. Can you imagine? Can you absolutely imagine? It's set to set up 600 quid in an auction. 600 fucking quid.
That's mad.
Fuck. it is funny when you see these like things that you never knew people were really into, and then there is a whole community for it.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to buy a new keyboard for my computer, right? And I'm double guessing myself so much because there's all these fucking forums and subreddits of people who love keyboards, and I think, oh, this keyboard's pretty good, and you look it up and people are like, oh, you don't want that, too clicky, go for this one. I'm like, oh fuck, okay, I'll go for this one, and then someone says that one's not great. I saw a clip, I can't remember the guy's name, like you'd recognise him. He does these short little skits. They'll be like a minute long or whatever, and the skit is basically before and after you find a subreddit for your hobby, and he does it of like the skit is just him getting into water. So it's like before, and it's him just drinking some water, and he goes, I like water, and like puts it down, and afterwards he's like sitting there with a monocle on, and he's like sipping his water, and he's like talking about the pH levels of the water, and then he's like, oh, you can drink it from a wide glass or a thin glass. We call them widies or finnies. I prefer a wide glass because I like to see the water. I feel like looking at the water is half the experience of drinking water, and just gets really into it. And it's true, man. Like anything you can think of, there's a community of people out there that love it.
So that's what a wonderful segue is. Speaking of drinks, do you remember last episode when I had my
cast my mind back.
increasingly flavoursome Shoe Zone, potentially brewed by Adnams 0.5% lager beer thing?
Yep.
Still waiting, Adnams.
Yeah, no update yet.
Well, I've got a couple extras that came along the way. I'll admit I've actually had a few sips of this one. Have you guys heard of this? No Secco.
No Secco.
No
so
Secco.
Is that alcohol-free Prosecco?
That's exactly what it is.
Wow. Prosecco is awful enough with the alcohol, let alone without.
So I have actually tried it already, but for, authenticity, well, no, that's the opposite of authenticity, isn't it? I'm going to lie. But for show business, I'm going to taste it for you. I'm also left the same glass, so it could be a bit dirty, but I know this isn't the done thing. Here we go.
Sounds good.
Does sound good.
Yeah, I'm going to pop that under there. There we go. Right. There we go. Ready? Do you slurp it? Do you sip it? Like, I know I've done this before in terms of the flavour, but
I don't think you need to slurp it. Slurp it on mic.
I do think that is the correct way to taste Prosecco is with a slurp.
But it's not like it's not.
You have to gargle it.
It's not. Well, that's what I'm asking. It's not like the wine level. Do I have to do the whole
gargle and spit it out?
Yeah, I think you're actually meant to hold it at arm's length and sort of tip it
just
back.
drip it into your face.
Yeah.
Am I? Yeah. I can.
You don't bend your elbow with Prosecco. That's brash.
Well, the good thing is
it's considered rude, and I'll be offended.
I've messaged Lynn to see if she can bring me a beer in, so I don't have to leave the recording. So hopefully, I might have another beer en route. I forgot to get a beer.
I might be getting some chicken nuggets delivered.
Oh, hang on. Oh, be careful.
Oh,
can you see the hand?
Look at that! Wow.
Thank you.
Wow. Is that Grolsch?
Big old Grolsch, yeah.
Big old Grolsch. Anyway, this is my moment. I'm having my sip. Here we go.
I don't know if this is going to do like a pop. Oh,
audible pop.
That's a good noise.
As I suspected, it tastes just as fucking horrendous as it did when I tried it before. You ever drink like White Lightning and like Scrumpy Jack and all that sort of shit under like, well, for me it was like under the ramps at the skate park. Yeah, when I was like 12, and like you'd be like, this is great. It's alcohol. It tastes amazing. But as soon as anyone wasn't watching, you'd be like, what the fuck is this? This is horrendous.
What am I doing?
Like at least that had a little bit of a buzz to it. I mean, this is literally. I mean, what shop could this be? If the last one in the last episode was Shoe Zone, this is probably Primark on Christmas Eve. That's what that is. Busy and shit, and no one really wants to be there.
Yeah, rather dire.
But I'm going to drink it. As you were.
Well, I've got my brandless flask of tap water. There we go. Tastes very...
Gargle it. Go on, give it a gargle.
Oh, very metallic. You know, the kind of like... you can really taste the pipes of East London.
I just want to check with you, mate. That wasn't tap water, was it?
It was tap.
You know, there's like fluoride in it, and then
Fluoride. I don't. Yeah, I mean, no frogs are drinking this water, so it's okay.
Yeah, but you know that like that's a problem, yeah. You know, like yeah. Yeah, like are you gonna have the jab? Have you had the jab? You ain't having the jab, are you? You fucking put that in your body. You don't know what's in it, mate.
This is not a conspiracy episode, Ziggy.
It's 5G, isn't it?
Fucking speaking of 5G, can't get it here, can I?
That's why you left, mate. You're safe.
No, I want it directly into my brain.
Well, you listen.
I want to be linked in.
It's that AstraZeneca, isn't it?
Zeneca.
Trust me.
AstraZeneca.
Look it up. Honestly,
you've had a bit too much of that 0.5%, mate.
On Facebook, yeah. Go on Facebook. It's all there. It's all there. Trust me. My neighbour posted it.
It's the fountain of knowledge. The font of knowledge.
The fontaine of knowledge.
Fontaine. Dave Fontaine.
So I've got a story here about a burglar who broke into a house, denied breaking into said house, and denied stealing things from said house. But he was found guilty because he downloaded porn onto the victim's laptop and left semen on the laptop's keyboard as well.
I think I've heard about this. I don't want to... But is this the one where he like logged into Facebook as well?
Again, I haven't read the article. I like to come into these things, you know, as ignorant as our listeners. And
they are ignorant.
Yeah,
I'll tell you.
Sort of terrible.
So the headline is Burger.
Oh mate.
In Holland, burger is, I think, citizen.
That's the same as German as well.
Yeah, so it's really on my residence letter. You get like a burger number, which is your citizen number, but it always makes me laugh when I see it, burger.
Yeah.
And also, page is pagina.
That's good.
Oh, is it?
I think it's pronounced pagina, but it looks like vagina just without the V and a P put in there. It always makes me laugh.
So they took the P and put it in the V. Just to clarify.
They know how to do it over there, don't they?
Fucking, I'm in the wrong place.
Yeah, I found that funny. So I'm like trying to learn German at the moment. I used to know like a relatively decent amount for the average English person, and then I forgot it all. So I'm trying to like Duolingo my way back into it. And I came across that the other day. I was like, oh, burger. Yeah, like citizen is burger. And it makes sense because like a lot of towns and cities end in like burg, like, and that's just like the word for borough. But for some reason we just make, it's like, I think we took like the French word instead of the German one. But,
isn't mayor like Burgermeister as well? Or Burgermeister. You're the Burgermeister.
Yeah.
I'd love to. It's a good title, isn't it? Burgermeister.
Yeah, that's good. But anyway, this is not about burger. It's about a burglar. Burglar pleads guilty after downloading porn during break-in, leaving semen on laptop. Police sent the evidence from the computer to a lab, and prosecutors used a new method to identify the suspect more quickly than usual. Doesn't tell us about that method, but, you know, some kind of cum tracing, you know, method. Yeah.
Oh, fucking hell. Pop it in the vagina machine.
Pop it in the cum machine.
It's the same machine. Don't worry. Just fucking carry on.
The 22-year-old man pleaded guilty Monday and was immediately sentenced to more than 6 years in prison for breaking into the residence of some college students in the city of Orange, helping himself to refreshments and using a laptop computer belonging to one of the residents to download porn and commit a sex act. So I guess, of course, like, even though he's in his mind, he's probably like, oh yeah, I'll just knock one out. You know, that's giving him the benefit of the doubt and being like, oh, I'm just really need it right now. But it is, you are like, that is sexual assault, right? Like coming on someone's stuff. We're all about education here on the Curios cast.
That is bad.
Is that officially, like, can we find that out if it's actually classed as sexual assault to come on someone's keyboard?
Let's have a look. So he what? I don't talk about that on the mechanical keyboard subreddit I was talking about.
That's saying, I wonder you're having a hard time buying one, mate. Yeah.
That's awful, isn't it? Imagine I'll go in like underneath the keys and mate, fucking atrocious.
So he was arrested back in 2018, and I guess the court process has taken a while. The defendant broke into the home on the evening of October 4th, went through the resident's underwear, and then left his semen on the computer after downloading pornographic images and viewing them online, said Sergeant Phil McCullin of the Orange Police Department.
What's his name?
Phil
McKeesin.
I think I read it wrong. McMullin.
Oh. Oh, that's sent me over the edge.
Phil McMullin.
Fill your own.
This line here says that the defendant also helped himself to some milk and cookies, according to McMullin. So he broke in. I wonder what order he done this in. Went through the underwear. You know, maybe he was looking for something. He found the underwear. Got a little bit turned on.
Yeah.
Was like,
who doesn't?
Yeah, yeah. So he's like, laptop there. I'll quickly. I don't know who does this, but downloads porn.
Besha.
Yeah, downloaded it and then knocked one out on the keyboard. Didn't think to grab some tissue or anything. Just on the keyboard there, and then was a bit peckish. So he got some milk and cookies.
I wonder if he finished. He was like, "Yeah, job done."
I wonder if that's all he stole. Did he
even steal anything?
Milk and cookies, I guess. And police sent the evidence from the computer to a lab. Again, they used a new method to identify the suspect. When he was arrested, he was in possession of 2 pairs of underwear belonging to the victims, among other items. That's it. Among.
There seems to be this thing, right?
Other items.
Yeah, thank you, because everyone, like, where I guess loads of kids are playing, like, Among Us, yeah? My daughter and my nephew keep saying Among Us. I'm like, it's not fucking Among, you mong.
I think it's because I read it. I think, like, if I was saying it, I'd say Among, but I wrote it's spelled Among.
I hope you would. That's the word.
Yeah.
Like, anyway,
he was in possession of 2 pairs of underwear belonging to the victims.
Did you kill your daughter Among?
Among other items.
She likes fucking gnomes. We've been through this. Come on.
Oh God, that's the first time I think on any of these episodes that I've been broken.
Oh, I'm glad I could be here for it.
It says here that his DNA was already in the system due to his prior conviction for vandalising bathrooms at a high school with graffiti in 2017. So I think he was arrested, and I guess maybe when you get arrested, they take your DNA anyway. I was hoping that he'd done some other bodily fluid type crime, but I guess not. So he already had misdemeanor counts of vandalism and possession of graffiti devices, and was sentenced to 30 days in jail. And he'd done 2 hours of community service, specifically graffiti removal. And a couple of years later, he fucking went off the rails and just come on some keyboard.
I still can't get over old Phil McCracken, or whatever his name was.
Phil McCullen.
Phil McCracken. It's not even that funny when
no, it's the fucking time. Oh my god.
This the top comment on like the Reddit thread where I found the article was pretty funny. It says, just imagine you get home and your front door is wide open. You walk in, you see a shattered window that was probably the point of entry. Your place is trashed. Drawers and cabinets are left open and looted. You're losing the sense of security that you feel in your home. But as soon as you walk through your house, you get a glimmer of hope because you see your laptop still on the table. Oh, thank God. At least he didn't take everything. You open it up. There's jizz on your keyboard.
That is awful. I'd rather
take the laptop.
Take it, yeah, man.
That's it.
Oh, that's a good one. That was a good one, Tom. Really good.
Yeah, I don't know how much reflection is needed. I mean,
yeah, have you guys got any similar stories to this? Any anecdotes?
Well, I've got.
This ever happened to you? You've ever been in this situation
about
before?
People wanking on keyboards. You know, I think.
What's the weirdest thing about a wank on? Let's just get to the fucking. Let's get to the crux of the matter. You know what I mean?
I've never been that kind of person. I know, like, there's obviously like the sort of like classic crusty sock type thing, but I've never.
On that subject, I've never understood that. Is that a thing? The sock thing,
yeah.
Or is it an American Pie? You know, is that become like just a meme thing, or is that a legit thing?
It's another thing I've got a bit of experience with. Pure laziness, I suppose. I've never put a sock on like that. That's a bit weird, isn't it? I think that's like glamorized in American Pie and shit like that. But yeah, I mean, if it's
glamorized,
is that a word? Is that a word? Yeah.
The idea that is like glamorized.
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, you know what I mean. I mean, I might tried it once, but fucking. But it's like it's the first thing that's near, isn't it? You know what I mean? It's like you take your pants and your socks off, like it's on the floor. When you were a kid, like, do you pre-plan? Do you fucking take a roll of tissue out with you? I mean, not in 2020, you don't. It's rare commodity, isn't it?
Stash somewhere.
Oh yeah.
No, but there was times where I hadn't pre-planned. You'd have to make a mid pleasure, like course of action, and be like, okay, I can see the path this is going down. I need
What's
to
that like? Is that like, Mum, bring some tissue?
Well, you just got to tuck it and waddle, right?
But surely you'd think, oh yeah, maybe I shouldn't start, having a go. I'll go and get some.
Sometimes you're just scrolling, and you see something, and that just gets
sets you off.
Yeah. Probably what happened to this poor fella.
How relaxed have you got to be during a burglary to have a wank?
It
must be well stressful.
Some people might get turned on by stress.
Do you think? I mean, I know. Sex as a whole doesn't always necessarily come across as quite relaxing to me. Half the time, I'm out of breath by the time I'm done. So it doesn't strike me as a relaxing moment. Because I mean, if we were to let's flip up the order a little bit. I mean, he's broke it into someone's house. He's got a bit hungry. He's smashed an Oreo and whatever. He's probably a bit full. He's looking out for Phil McCullen. You know what I mean? Don't want that guy to turn up.
You've got to blow off some steam.
Yeah. He's all over it.
But no, so I've never, come on anything weird.
I can't believe that this is the stage that we're at with this podcast.
That was Ziggy's question. But when I was at school, one of my friends, I've always got a story about about my mates at school. I was about to say fucking my mates at school, but that's not accurate. But one of my mates at school,
carry on.
He said he was in that exact situation where he'd started having a go of it, and and then sort of was I don't know, getting towards the end and realised that there was
reaching the vanilla strokes.
He thought he had some tissue down the side of the bed or something. There wasn't any there. He's like, oh, what do I do? So he's looking around and he just sees a bit of paper. It was like some homework or whatever. So in his mind, he was like, oh, well, paper does absorb water. You know, if you spill something on some paper, it soaks it up and the paper gets wet. So he grabbed some paper and he spunked on it, and it just sits on top. It's just like a bit of liquid. Like it doesn't just absorb and like take it. It's just comes sitting on paper. So he's like
an airy gelato.
So he's going he's like tipping it back and forth so it doesn't like go off the paper. And he's like, oh no. So he has to like quickly sort of like, you know, tuck himself in and whatever.
Mate, you're risking a paper cut as well, aren't you?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
But he said he kind of like folded it in like half and half again, but like not like really tight, so it's squirt out the edges, but just like, you know, just gently sort of fold it in on itself, so it's like in there. And he's like, oh fuck, what do I do with it? He's like, I can't just chuck it in like the bin, like, you know, because that's dirty. So he thought, I'll flush it down the toilet. Apparently, paper doesn't flush that well down the toilet because the same way it doesn't absorb the water, it's not heavy enough. And it just kind of sits on the top. So he said he was in the toilet, put the paper down there, and he like flushes it. Nothing happens. It just sits there on top. And now he's like, oh my God. Now, if anyone goes to use the toilet, they're going to wonder, why is there paper in the toilet? So he just started like breaking it up. I think he used like, a toilet brush and just fucking mashing it. And eventually, I think it just tore into enough pieces that it went down. And that's not my story, but a story I know.
See, if he'd have just looked on his floor, seen his sock, he'd have just fucking saved all that.
He's gone for it.
You know what I mean? You can wash a sock.
I think I've said this on a previous episode, but I never knew this kid very well. But I have a friend who did, and I went round his house, and there was a stain on his carpet in his bedroom. And then when he was asked about that stain, he said that was where he come. Like, and
that was his spot. And that was like,
yeah, it was like his regular spot. He said like, oh no, I won't like let it sit there. Like if I'm in bed and there's no tissue, I'll just come off the bed and then grab some tissue 5-10 minutes later and give it a little wipe. But there's obviously it's still in the fibres of the carpet, and then you do that over and over that it gets to a point where it's irreparable.
I think we spoke about that on the same episode when I brought up one of my old friend's spit jars.
Oh yeah, that's disgusting.
He had
that's horrendous.
He had a jar under his bed, which was, I don't know how big. It was probably as big as his Grolsch thing, full of just congealed spit.
That's disgusting.
On the subject of knocking one out, though, one of my other friends,
you boys have got a lot of friends.
He,
I came on socks. All right? I'm opening up the fact that I did that. Not any of my mates. You boys and your pals.
I haven't really got any personal anecdotes, but yeah, one of this friend, it was a bit of a running theme with him. Like one time he we was playing football over the park, and he came over to the park, like said hello and how you doing, whatever. And I noticed like his right hand was stained orange. I was like, why is your hand like dark? Like, why is your hand all orange? And he
why got a dark hand?
I was like, why is your hand like tanned? And he said, I wanted to have a wank, and he used his sister's tanning.
Lubed himself
fake
up.
Tan, yeah, because he thought it was like just lotion.
Oh no!
So he tanned his knob in his hand.
Orange old boy.
An orange knob and an orange hand. Brilliant.
That's funny. That's good.
That is funny.
And the same guy jizzed like just freely. I've never understood that. Just like a free jizz. Hit himself in the face laying down in the dark, which has always been a terrible image.
I've always wondered that about virtual reality porn. Like you're watching it, right? And I guess you're there and you're enjoying the experience. But then when it actually comes to ejaculate, like you can't see because you've got big goggles on and you're in this other world. So do you just let it go out into the ether and just hope that
Do you have like
it
a
works
little
out all
box
right?
attached or something?
Or do you have to sort of like, I guess, have a tissue ready, but then hope that you're aiming right? Like, I don't know. I wouldn't trust myself. Or do you just have to like break the immersion and flick it off at the last second? Like, that's...
I wouldn't trust myself. That's like your whole thing on it. I don't think I can do it.
I can try it out. I've got a headset here, but I'll report back next episode, I guess.
We'll do anything for views.
Yeah.
Onlyfans.com/CuriosCast. Our joint account.
Well, it's been a very wank-heavy episode, so I'm gonna move swiftly on from wanking. Or unless you've got anything else to.
I think we've covered all bases.
Yeah,
something's been covered.
Yeah,
something has been covered. I'll tell you. I will tell you one story actually. Again, my story. I remember when. Like I must have been like 15, I guess, and I'd only really been like living with my dad for like 6 months or whatever. And I suppose like because I hadn't lived with him for so many years before, as much as we knew each other, we didn't necessarily understand like some of the quirkier things. And I'm pretty shameless, man.
Like
I'm not
wiping your ass standing up and that.
yeah. Who does that? Like some of the stranger things. And one of the things like about me, which hasn't ever really changed, is that like this sort of conversation has never fazed me. Having a wank into a sock, for instance, is not something I would ever deny. Like, or why I did it.
That's what we like about you.
Yeah, that's why I'm on. And I never used to fucking get rid of half the tissues in that, man. I used to stuff them down the side of the bed.
Oh no.
And then, that is awful. And then my dad, for whatever reason, had been threatening because I like slept on this like old futon thing, which was just so uncomfortable, and like the mattress was like this thick. And he'd been saying for ages, "I've got to get you a new bed," and I was like, "No, you don't need to, because it's sweet, it's double. Like the room is really small, and you could barely fit it in." He was like, "No, we'll get you a single bed, and you'd have a bit more space." I'm like, "Dad, honestly, like, I'm 16, you don't need to." Anyway. I remember it was the last day of school, and everyone's in good spirits and stuff. And I come home, and my fucking bed's gone, right? And like my just got this like single bed there. And then the first thing I'm like, oh, that's a bit shit. And the second thing I'm like, oh fuck, what about like all the tissues in there? So I look underneath, it's all gone. Everything's gone. And I come downstairs, and like my parents are sort of sitting there, and they've got like this sort of face on. I'm like, what? And they're like, what's like, you got something you want to tell us? And I was like, listen, if you're going to talk about all my tissues that I came on underneath my bed, Mum and Dad, you want to have this conversation with me, then by all means do. But the bigger issue here is that I'm a lazy fuck, yeah? Not the fact that I did it in the first place. And my dad was just like, I won't say shocked, but he was more like shocked at how unfazed I was about it.
Yeah.
And then, the very fact that when he started being like, yeah, to be fair, mate, he said, there was a fucking lot under there.
I would have so gone the other way. I'd have been so like, oh, I got a runny nose.
Yeah. Well, I think we're the polar opposite of me and my dad. My dad caught me downloading porn once on like the very first computer I got.
That came on off
I was wanking my laptop. No, I got like a computer in my room. I can't remember how old I was. Like the first, literally, probably within 20 minutes of getting this computer, the first thing I did was LimeWire, and I just was downloading probably absolutely horrific stuff. And I remember like it was all downloading, and we had dial-up internet, so it took fucking ages to download. Right, this was pre just being able to go into Pornhub and having a go. So it was like downloading in my room, and I was doing whatever. I was probably getting ready, I was probably really excited, like psyching myself up. And my dad came in and went, can I just quickly use your computer? I was like, so he went in, went to the computer, obviously saw what was up, and he went, we'll just close all this down. Closed it all down, did his business, and then left again, and then didn't mention it ever again, like never ever mentioned it.
That's a pretty good way to handle it, I think.
Yeah, but I think we've just always been that way, like never do anything. Well, never speak about anything.
Yeah.
You know, just
bury it all down inside.
There's another time when just when I met my first girlfriend, he came in like the first night she'd stayed round at my parents' house. He came in the next day or the next morning to have like the chat with me. And
12 hours too late, really.
I could tell he was just like absolutely just uncomfortable with it because he was like sort of walking, like sort of looking at the wall, finding things to scratch on the wall as he was talking, oh, look, I just get that bit. You are being careful, aren't you? I just got a bit of paint that bit up there as well. Yeah, just like avoiding having like the proper conversation, sort of like slipping it into something else, and then that's it. Like a 2-minute thing. Spent more time talking about the paint on the wall, and then left.
The lack of paint on the wall by the time your dad had finished, by the sounds of things. It sounds like our parents could not be more opposite. My dad's like, how was it? Was it any good? How'd you get on?
Awful. Anyway, my story is probably a little bit more PG, to be honest, than this episode.
Couldn't be less, really.
Boy, I reckon you could give it a go. You could become less PG.
Yeah, true.
This is the curious story of the man who tried to mail himself from Australia to Wales after getting homesick.
Okay.
So the reason this is in the news is because the guy, who's now a pensioner, is trying to track down the 2 guys that helped him mail himself back to Australia by putting him inside a wooden crate, sealing it up, and then shipping him back to Wales.
Wow.
Back in the 60s. So unfortunately, he didn't make it all the way to Wales. He got caught by the FBI in America.
FBI@gmail.com.
Yeah, FBI@gmail.com. So a pensioner from Cardiff is looking for 2 Irishmen who helped him escape Australia by mailing him off in a wooden crate. Brian Robson was 19 when he decided to go ahead with a stupid plan to get home to Wales in 1965. So he'd spent about 11 months in Australia, but he was getting homesick. However, the £40 a month he made working there wasn't nearly enough to cover a £700 plane ticket, which obviously back in 1965 was probably a pretty chunky bit of money. Still is a chunky bit of money, but it's probably even more chunky. So he met 2 Irish friends, or 2 Irish guys out there, and he only really knew their first names, but they spoke to him and they convinced him to mail himself back to avoid the ticket in a box the size of a mini fridge. Which, Ziggy, you've got a mini fridge in front of you. Would you say you could fit inside a mini fridge?
Nah, fuck that.
I mean, I'm going to guess it's slightly bigger than a mini fridge. I don't think that he would fit inside a mini fridge. But
I mean, what constitutes a mini? It is a mini fridge, but I mean they come in like small size. Anything bigger than that?
You get some mini fridges that can hold like 2 cans of Coke, and that's it.
Like anything bigger than this is not a mini fridge, and even so I'd say my fridge under here is the large end of a mini fridge.
Yeah, it's just a small fridge,
and it's fucking small.
I'd say that it's not a mini fridge. It's just a mini fridge. That's like what the article's saying. So probably like a box big enough for a man. Let's just go for that. So they nailed it shut after he got into the box and sent him off as cargo on a Qantas flight from Melbourne to London. However, and he packed a torch inside the box, pillows, a suitcase, a book of Beatles songs, and 2 bottles, one for water and one for urine. So he was well stocked. No food, which is mad. Yeah. So he wasn't expecting a luxurious trip, but what should have been a 36-hour direct flight ended up as a 4-day-long ordeal. The Qantas flight was so full that the crate, which had been labelled as containing a computer, was put onto a much slower Pan Am flight, which ended up in Los Angeles. So I guess it was in the days where a computer was big enough, like a fucking massive computer. It needed a substantial box to ship it in. So during the flight, he said that the airplane's hold was freezing cold and boiling hot, and at several points he struggled to breathe, and that when he landed in Sydney, the box was left upside down for 22 hours.
Oh, man.
So he blacked out, like he would like come to and then black out again because obviously he was just stuck upside down for 22 hours,
Like
which is
that.
probably really dangerous, right?
Yeah, that's mad.
Can't be advised, can it?
Yeah. Can't be advised.
Yeah. I have said it before, but I am not a doctor, so I don't know.
So after leaving Sydney and landing again, he thought that he'd arrived back in London. So he could feel himself being lifted off the plane and then put onto a little trolley, and he was taken off to like the freight shed at the airport. And he said that he peeked through a hole in the side of a chest and stared directly into the eyes of a US customs officer who thought that there was a dead body inside. So like just in a film, he looked out and someone was looking directly back in at him, which is mad.
Oh, you must shit yourself.
Yeah, can you imagine? Who would shit themselves more, the customs official or him?
I think he probably shits himself more because he's like gone through that entire ordeal. But if I were to look for a box at, I don't know, fucking FedEx or whatever, and see someone looking at me, I'd be like, approved, send it off.
Yeah. So he was then interrogated by the FBI at gmail.com, who wanted to make sure that he wasn't a Cold War spy. However, they were satisfied that he wasn't a threat, so they decided not to press charges and flew him back from the US to London on a regular flight. So they paid for his flight, which was
that's nice.
Pretty fair. His legs had seized up whilst inside the box, so he had to have a stay in hospital to recover before his journey. And yeah, apparently the Australian government and the US government said that they're not going to press any charges, so they sort of said fair enough and let him just get on with it. I wonder if that had happened now. I reckon if you did that now, you would get prosecuted.
Yeah, I mean, you can't even take a little bit of meth in your breakfast burrito anymore, let alone ship yourself, around the world.
But wasn't I swear I'll try and find it. I don't know who it is, but I've seen someone on YouTube. I don't know if it was fake, but he does all these like challenges and stuff. I swear, and this guy recently FedExed himself in a crate like across a country.
Yeah, I think I might have seen that. But then maybe it's different if you're not going cross borders. If he just went like East Coast to West Coast or something.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, going from Australia to fucking Wales. Yeah, it's a long journey.
Yeah, it's a long journey.
Yeah, fuck that. So the guy wrote to the two Irish guys to sort of thank them once he was back in Wales, but he's never heard from them ever again. So he doesn't know who they are, doesn't know where they are. I mean, those two guys, did they even know that he survived? Like, they might have lived the rest of their lives thinking, that, he's just died, like in a plane somewhere. So he's now trying to track them down. So listeners, if you know two Irish men between the ages of probably 70 to 85 years old who in the 1960s nailed someone shut into a crate in Australia.
Or if it's you listening now.
Yeah. Get in touch. What's his name? Brian Robson wishes to speak to you.
What's the MO on this one? Is Brian fucked off about it? You know what I mean? Did he think it was a bad idea, or does he want to say, listen, I appreciate you banging me in,
probably
in the
thanks,
box?
Right?
Yeah, it's probably thanks. I mean, I think it was...
he made it.
Yeah, I think there's on this article I've got up here. I'll link it to you. Like, he's obviously been interviewed by the press in the US and looks fairly happy. So I think it was probably a bit of an adventure. I'm sure that when he was stuck upside down for 22 hours, he probably was hating his life. But it's one of those things that you can look back on now and love it, right?
Mm.
So he looks pretty happy with himself. I think he's just eager to maybe find out who they were. I guess after like 50 years, he's probably spent his life thinking, who actually were those guys? I wonder what happened to them, and wanted to share the how it went with them. And it never has. But I just thought it was quite an interesting story.
If on
someone being mailed from Australia to Wales in a box.
If on the next episode, Tom is sitting on a FaceTime call with these two blokes, I will donate 50 quid to the Curios cast.
Yes. All right. Now I've got some incentive. The pictures in this article are quite misleading. It's him next to this like suitcase, like old style hand luggage thing, but that is not what he shipped himself in. I think
that's the one that came with him in the box,
right.
which is pretty big. I mean, it must have been a substantial. I wonder if he was like could move around in the box. I don't know. Who knows?
Nice.
But yeah, so
I like that one.
It's something that I'm not going to be doing. But feel free and let us know how it goes.
Yeah. Top comment: still better than Ryanair.
Nice.
Other airlines are available and recommended.
And you can also purchase tickets to fly on board said airlines.
Yep.
Well, actually, you can't right now, can you? Because of,
Oh yeah, that old thing.
that old thing.
Virus.
Yeah, old, the old lie. Fucking, I mean, ain't true.
Right, we'll cut him off here.
Yeah, cut him off. Cut him off.
Thanks for coming on again, Zig. Appreciate it.
I really appreciate
Love
it.
having you on.
Pleasure.
So much fun. I'm also not a fucking idiot conspiracy theorist. Get your jab, get the world back. You know what I mean? Fucking go with the boys. I've got people to ship across country.
Check him out.
Love
Ziggy
it.
J Rocket Instagram. YouTube is just
Thanks.
Ziggy Rocket, right?
Oh yeah, plug yourself, Zig. Plug.
Plug away. If you want to see some dad content showing you how to take photos and videos, probably nowhere near as good as everybody else, go and check out my YouTube channel. Or don't.
Definitely better than us at that.
Thanks, man. We'll see. I'm in the new studio space here. There's not a lot going on at the back. I'm waiting for some. I paid some good money. I paid like 250 quid for 5 of my photos to be printed and backed on foam exports, which are going to be going up here. So I hope they come out well. I'll be really fucked off if they don't. It's a lot of money.
Nice.
And you'll only be able to see that on Ziggy Rocket's YouTube channel
Yeah.
Cheers, boys.
at some point.
At some stage. This is actually the first video I've recorded since I've made this studio as well. It's not even my own. So
It's been a pleasure. I'm glad we broke your duck.
well, thanks.
Is that a phrase? I don't know.
Stop it.
Broke your duck? Yeah, break your duck.
Yeah, break the duck. Yeah, yes, yeah. Yeah, it means fuck.
Oh.
And with on that note, over to the boys.
Thanks for listening. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.